All right, so create a trustworthy process is today's topic for the DECA Leadership Development Session. Ed Lobdell is our host, and I'll let him take it away. Thanks, Ed.
All right, thank you, Alex. Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Ed. I am with Behavioral Health up in Lawrence. I'm the program director for First Step and Lawrence Outpatient. And this morning, I want to talk to you all about create a trustworthy process. And this is something I've talked about before, I think, in here, because I started to already have a presentation already created. I'm sorry, is that really loud? Can you guys hear like a grinding noise?
A little bit. It kind of went away.
Okay, I think my neighbors are like chopping down a tree or something, so if it gets too bad, let me know. I'll move into another room. So anyways, like I was saying, I had a presentation already made for this because I'm almost positive I've done this before. Had a talk about this subject. And so I get on my computer this morning about 8 o'clock. I pull it up and I open the PowerPoint, and there's only 5 slides in there. There's the title page, 3 debrief questions, and a thank you page. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I'm starting to panic because now all my content that I thought I had to talk about with y'all today is gone. And so I'm like scrambling to rebuild this, and kind of, and still panicking and thinking everybody's gonna think I'm unprepared and unprofessional and etc. And as I'm going through and rebuilding it and looking at the content, I'm thinking, they don't necessarily care about the content, right? It's just like it sounds. It's about creating a trustworthy process that if I, am able to lead them on this journey and talking about trustworthy process, and I can create a trustworthy process, that's what everybody who's here today is going to care about. They're not going to care about, how pretty my slides are or how many funny videos I have from YouTube in my presentation. So that was just something that just happened just now as I was scrambling to get ready for this, that I realized, again, it's not about how pretty things look or how polished it looks. It's about the process. It's about creating that trustworthy process. So that's what I hope to do with y'all today in real time as we go through this conversation here today. So I see we have a handful of people here today, and not everybody has their videos on, which is fine. But hopefully, even if you don't have your video on, you can still talk and participate with us, at least verbally. So I want to hear from you all. Real quick, just tell me who you are, what program you're in, and one thing you do in your job that you would not have expected, that after you left the job interview, you were like, you never would have guessed that you would be doing this in your job. So for example, for me, right, I said I'm with behavioral health, so we do addiction treatment up in Lawrence. And when I had my job interview back in 2008, 2009, I walked away from it being really excited about doing this, about doing counseling and meeting with people and doing groups and helping people heal and change and etc. And then I realized I have to do urine drug screens. They definitely did not teach that in my master's program, how to do urine drug screens. So, but it is part of my job and something we do. So, so let me hear from each of y'all. I'll pass it off to the person next to me on my screen is Sarah. So I'll pass it off to Sarah.
Good morning, I'm Sarah. I'm the office assistant for CPA in Wichita. Let's see. I started about 6 years ago and my job has completely changed. When I got here, they're like, you're just going to do some data entry. And I was like, okay, that's cool. And now I like run the CPA Facebook page and I create all the flyers, and it's just totally different than what I started at. I love it. I'm really happy it's changed, but it's definitely different.
Cool. So all that social media, you would never guess that's what you'd be doing now. Awesome. Thanks, Sarah. Who do you want to hand it off to, Sarah?
Alex is next on my screen.
Hello, Alex Weeble, DECA communication strategist. Been here since 2015, so 7 years. And yes, a lot has changed. Like Sarah said, I was in the traffic safety department, handling communication there, and kind of broaden the horizons with learning more about what all DECA has to offer, not just program level, but every program in every department. So quite a bit of change and getting used to seeing how things go for the agency.
Definitely.
Kathy, would you like to go next?
Hi, I'm Kathy Slade. I work for the Iowa Safe Traffic Safety Seatbelts Are for Everyone program. So I am the only person in Iowa. So when I took my job, it was part-time, and I'm finding it's not really part-time. Social media, grant writing, I wasn't, I had no idea how to do that stuff. So I learned a lot pretty quickly.
Definitely, yeah, cool.
I will pick Samantha.
Hello, my name is Samantha. I work here in the Pratt office and Wichita office. Been here 3 years. Yeah. And when I started, I was just part-time peer support. And kind of like you said, definitely not a part-time job. I didn't think when I started this that I would be licensed to teach like parenting classes, do a tobacco training for the state of Kansas. So I guess I'd have to say all the trainings and teaching them now. And I think I'm going to pass it off to Beth.
Hi, I'm Beth. I am a substance use counselor in the Pratt office, right next door to Samantha. I've only been here since March. I can't really say there's anything I've done here yet that was unexpected, other than maybe taking payment from clients and figuring out how to get all the correct information to the right people so that they get credited for what they pay. That's a new thing for me coming from residential treatment. So, but everything else is pretty much what was expected.
That's a good example. All right, next to Beth on my screen is Rosa. I'll pass it off to Rosa next.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Okay, I was having problems with my my video and my audio wasn't sure. I have a loaner computer. My name is Rosa Aranda, like it shows on my screen. On the screen, I am a traffic safety specialist for communities at risk. I am based in Wichita, but I do statewide coverage for traffic safety education and other programs. This is my 11th month, so still learning, but I really love my job. Something surprising that I wasn't expecting. It wasn't so much so, but when I knew I was going to become a child safety technician, I knew that would be part of my job and everything, but it was a nice surprise. I know to know that I will be working with kids more often than what I thought, because I love kids. I love working with families. So that was a nice thing. So.
All right, thanks, Rosa. Let's see, turn it to Christina next.
Hi, my name is Christine. I am an administrative assistant here in Wichita. And let's see, if I could think of something that was kind of challenging, I would say having to learn how to maneuver on an Excel spreadsheet. That was a challenge for me because I just wasn't familiar with that. So it kind of took me totally out of my comfort zone, to have to really learn a different way to maneuver. But it was the best thing that happened to me because now I know how to do all kind of stuff on there. So besides all of that, I love my job. I like what I do. I'm a natural helper, no matter what position you put me in. And so I enjoy everything that I do.
All right, thanks, Christine. How about Leanna?
Hello, I'm Leanna, and I'm in the Kansas City office as a family support worker. And I just kind of got onto this after y'all had started, so I'll just take a punch based on what I've heard everybody else say. I've been with DECA for a little over a year, and knowing what I was getting myself into and doing this job and what has been reality, I would say it's pretty much overall what I expected. I think I've had to learn more about something I wasn't expecting, I guess, is something I'm always working on, is my email skills, that how to communicate with people via email. It's one thing to work with clients, but it's another thing to have an email dialogue going between all the workers. So that's been something that's been a big thing for me.
Yeah, it is a good example. They should definitely have a class in school about email etiquette. All right, and how about Nettie?
Hello, I'm Nettie, and I'm actually a master's level intern in the mission office. So I'm just an intern here, but so I've been out of work for about 10 years. I've been a stay-at-home mom. So just re-entering like the workforce in general has been a big change since I've been in for the last 10 years. So everything's kind of new and I'm just kind of observing everything. So.
Great, thanks, Nettie. And how about Christina with a K? Uh-oh, we can't hear you, Christina. Oh, bummer. That's all right. If you can put it in the chat, and Alex will read it for us. While we're doing that, how about Kathy?
I think I went already.
You did, yep.
I was the Iowa person.
Okay, Christine, Leanna, Samantha, Sarah. That's everybody. Okay. All right, Christina. We'll if you can get your audio working, that's great. If not, you can put it in the chat.
Was it the headphones where they plugged in? Maybe try it again, like on the where you have the test your speaker and microphone setting on where it says mute. There's a little arrow that says select a microphone or select a speaker. So maybe that could help. Yeah, it's not working. So.
Well, one thing that stood out to me while Christina's writing in the chat, I'll share that from what y'all just shared, one thing I heard was, your supervisor or your coworkers or somebody, right? Whoever told you to do these extra job duties, they trust you to do that, right? They trust you to take money from clients, even though you were never trained on that. They trust you to run our social media page. which to me, that's a lot of trust. I mean, that's like worldwide, right? And there's like no takebacks with social media. So it's like you have to do it right the first time. It has to look good, and everybody can see it. So good for you guys who are doing that kind of work. Social media is not my thing either. So people trust us, right? We have an environment where we're trusted to do that, where we feel like we can do that, right? If I'm guessing, if you all said, no, absolutely not, I can't do Excel, I've never done Excel, I'll never be able to do Excel, let me do something else, give me a different task, let that other guy over there do Excel. He loves computer stuff. You didn't do that. You felt okay enough, comfortable enough to learn that, to figure that out, which is great to hear. I think that means all of us have, at least the start to a trustworthy process in our systems, in our workplaces. So that's really cool to hear. All right, so I'm going to share this, or share my screen here. There we go. So creating a trustworthy process is a competency within energize others. So, and these aren't in order. If y'all have done any of the KLC stuff or the YLE stuff, they're not necessarily in order. And energizing others often comes at the beginning of the process, at the beginning of leadership, but it can appear anywhere in the process, in the middle, in the end. We constantly have to redo some of this work as leaders. So creating a trustworthy process is in there with energizing others. So what does it look like? What does that mean to create a trustworthy process? A big part of it is it doesn't mean that things are going to be perfect, that it's going to be smooth sailing, that it's going to be rainbows and butterflies, and we're going to all agree on something. We're going to create that product. We're going to release that product. Everyone's going to buy that product. It doesn't look like that. But what it does look like is people want to keep working together despite road bumps. So we might have road bumps. Maybe it's a disagreement between coworkers. Maybe it's a super challenging customer or client issue. Maybe there's a financial road bump, or maybe Facebook goes down for a week and my boss is like, what are you doing? Why aren't you, managing our social media page? So there are still road bumps, but we want to keep working together. People are willing to take risks. That and the next one, people are willing to challenge or question each other. Those are really important. Throughout this conversation, although, trust is in the name, create a trustworthy process, we really don't want to overvalue trust, because simply just trusting each other is not enough. But we need to be able to share with each other, to challenge each other, to encourage each other to grow. And we got to take risks for that to happen. Especially as leaders, we want to be able to role model what taking those risks looks like. It also looks like there is a consensus on a common good or an end goal. Okay, we're not all going to agree on how we get there. Okay, we have a healthy, trustworthy environment and a general path that we know or that we think is going to get us there. But the path is not straightforward. It's going to curve. We may, stray off the patch onto the shoulder of the road for a while. We may stray off into the grass on the side of the road for a while, but we're still going in that direction because we all agree that's the direction we want to go. So really what it looks like is it's about cooperation more than trust. It's about all of us wanting to work together, working together well, more than trusting that the person next to me that I know they're going to do what I say, or that if I ask them for help, they're going to for sure be there to help me, or something like that. Especially as leaders, that's especially true, right? If we're in a group project and I'm trying to be the leader, I'm trying to exercise my leadership skills in there, and somebody comes to me and says, hey man, I can't do this, can you help me with it? It could be easy to just take that over and just do it for them, right? To make sure that the project gets done, to make sure that it gets done right, gets done well. But that's not cooperation. That also doesn't say that I trust that other person or that they trust me. Maybe they trust me because they came and asked me to help out with them. Maybe they just wanted me to do it for them and they knew I would if they asked me. So it's about everybody working together. Oh, I probably didn't hit the right buttons. Okay, hopefully this works. Hopefully you can all see this. Somebody please let me know if this doesn't work. Oh, you probably can't see it, huh? That's all right. Okay, it's gonna pull up in just a second. I have this video that I want us to watch. It's a little bit long. It's about 11 minutes long. And it's a TED Talk, of course. Okay, that's weird. I can hear the ad, but I can't see my video or anything. Okay, so this video, this TED Talk, this guy's going to share a lot of stories. He's going to share a lot of different stories about different leaders, different examples of this. And so I want you to be listening, and I want you to think about what's one of these stories that he shares that really stands out to you. You know, what's one that really resonates with you? And I'm curious as to why it really resonates with you. So it doesn't have to be anything profound, just maybe it's like, oh, that really, you know, was the same as my job. So that really applied to me. Or one of the videos or one of the stories he shares is about the military. And it could be as simple as, I've been in the military before and I get it. I get that mentality. So just be listening to his stories and think about how it relates to you.
There's a man by the name of Captain William Swenson, who recently was awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor for his actions on September 8th, 2009. On that day, a column of American and Afghan troops were making their way through a part of Afghanistan to help protect a group of government officials, a group of Afghan government officials who'd be meeting with some local village elders. The column came under ambush and was surrounded on 3 sides. And amongst many other things, Captain Swenson was recognized for running into live fire to rescue the wounded and pull out.
All right, so I know that is he's a little dramatic because it's a TED Talk and it's supposed to be emotional and moving, right? But I asked you all to think about all the different stories that he shared and what story really stood out to you for any reason you want. Doesn't matter how serious or funny or whatever it is. So think about that for just a second. While we do that, Christina, I see you put in the chat, you are a billing specialist with CPA. I absolutely love your position and the whole team you work with. That is awesome. Only experience you've had that was unexpected is the balance of information needed per situation and adjusting to self-management and learning. You get a lot of support and understanding from everybody. That's really important. That's really important. So if I'm understanding you right, there's just a lot of information needed to do your job. Like there's a lot of learning, there's a lot of new things that you just never would have known before you came to this particular job. And so there's a huge learning curve, but everybody's been really understanding, really helpful. They've been teaching you. That's great. Thanks for sharing that, Christina. All right, so I want to hear from you all. Which of his stories really stood out to you and why?
May I share?
Go for it.
Okay, so I'm gonna try to be very brief. The first one about the medal recipient in Afghanistan, it kind of made me remember when I used to be a teacher, and my first years I was very strict, and I faced a lot of resentment from my students, a lot of like defiance, and then it wasn't until I was an actual classroom teacher, because I used to be like a special teacher, teaching Spanish at a middle school. So when I became a third grade teacher, I tried something different. I will have them vote for the name of the class, and I was kind of persuading them, but very subtly, for like appropriate names and something that will help us throughout the school year. And they chose the kind classroom. So I kind of capitalized on that. We will have meetings. So to me, to be kind or to install kindness in them was the main thing to do, kindness and respect. And then I could get their trust and cooperation just as a result. It was just beautiful. So I moved with them from 3rd to 4th grade, and I would have moved with them to 5th grade if I would have not moved from Illinois to back to Kansas. But it just brought that to my mind.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Rosa. That's a great story. You experimented. I think that's so important. You experimented with something, and the experiment worked out, and you gave your students that choice, and they really responded to that well.
Yes.
That's cool.
Thank you.
What else? Which of his stories really stood out to you?
Hello? Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, sorry, I'm the receptionist, so I have to go off, take off my video sometimes. But it was a lot that stood out to me. I was very excited to hear him because he hit on a lot of key points as far as character. And, it wasn't about really a particular story that he mentioned, but it was about the character behind each story. And he spoke about humility. He spoke about what it takes to be a good leader. And what I heard him say was, it's the heart behind what you do. A good leader puts their heart into what they do, and when your heart is in it, you will naturally sacrifice and go the extra mile because your heart is involved. He said a lot of good things about even authorities. He said, a person that's in authority don't mean that they're a good leader, but they are in authority and they are to be respected, but that doesn't make you a leader, and a lot of times the good leaders are the ones that are not trying to be seen, but they just naturally lean. So that's why I was so excited to hear him, because he was speaking about your character behind what you do. And it was very, very nice.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's so cool that you get to see a person's true nature, right, through their actions. So you get to see their character, who they really are as a human being.
I might go real quick because I agree completely with what Christine said. It wasn't so much a story, but just that leaders are not authority figures necessarily, and that leaders want their team or their employees to actually be self-sufficient and give them all the tools they need, so that, you know, if there's something they can't do, it doesn't mean that they're going to get fired. It means we're going to help you figure out what you need and build those skills for you. So that was pretty great to hear too.
Absolutely. Yeah, that is an interesting concept, right? That leaders are going to help you, they're going to coach you, they're going to grow you, they're going to encourage you rather than just fire you. He was like, you would never think about laying off one of your kids if they didn't perform at the level you wanted them to. Every time I hear that, it makes me laugh. But he's like, we would do that with our teammates, with our employees, with our people. How does that contribute to an environment of safety and trust, right? If we just lay you off when you don't like what we do, when you don't do what we like. I mean, yeah. Any other thoughts? Was a story or something that he said that really stood out to you?
I really like the heart count versus head count part of the layoff story. You know, like you said, you wouldn't fire your kids or punish them too severely like that, but like having everybody, you know, it's more meaningful when you think about the heart than just the head. And I think it gave everybody a chance to lead on their own, like they were saying, donating time for their furloughs so that others could, you know, take advantage of that if they were more well off or had flexibility in their life to help others. So that was kind of a, you know, domino effect for everybody else.
That's so interesting, isn't it? That you know, humans aren't all out there just for themselves, right? In that story, the heart count story, where, you know, everybody had to take 4 weeks of unpaid vacation off, people started to help each other. They started to trade, you know, paid hours and trade other things and to help each other, you know, just their coworkers even. There's not their family that they're sacrificing for. They're sacrificing for their coworkers. And Christina, you said it's about that heart, you know, caring for each employee as a person, and in turn, everyone caring for one another, which is a huge reflection on the company as well. Yeah, absolutely.
It kind of, the whole thought process of just because you know what leadership is doesn't mean you know how to lead. I had an experience with a professor in college who did not know how to teach. He may have known how to play music, but he was not a teacher. And it was so frustrating to, you know, be sitting with a professor who has a doctorate, and just, it was humiliating to sit in a class with someone who thought they were all that in a bag of chips. And they weren't. In the classroom, he may have been able to play music, but we didn't know it. He was too busy talking about his life instead of teaching. So
wow. So it goes back to those actions and those behaviors, right? So you got to see what his true nature really was there because of those actions. It didn't really matter how good he could play music. It was, you know, how he interacted with you all and how he taught. Very cool. Well, thanks everybody for sharing. Any last thoughts before I move on from that? All right. So you mentioned we don't really know how to do that, right? We know what leadership is, but we don't maybe we don't know how to do those things. So I'm gonna share some questions you can ask with yourself, a little, pen and paper activity you can do with yourself to kind of ask yourself and reflect on, am I doing this? Am I creating a trustworthy process? So these are questions you would ask as you're going through the motions, not at the very beginning, not when you're necessarily planning for it, but as you're going through the motions. So asking yourself, how ready are people for change? That's important, right? That speaks to start where they're at. What would be too much change too quickly, or too little change, or too slowly? How will I engage others at this point in the process? Everybody, especially those of you in prevention and community-based services who have to engage those community coalitions, I'm sure you all really understand how everybody takes a little bit something different to engage them. I can't use the same tactic to engage every single person in my group or in my meeting or in my coalition. So like the next one says, do I need to have some private talks with people? Do I need to have some small meetings? Do I need to have a conversation with everybody so we're all on the same page about this? And it may be a combination of all the above. Do we need to bring in a facilitator? Okay, is the process, the environment that's been created, is it kind of at a place where, if any one of us tried to facilitate this, it probably wouldn't go so well. Maybe we don't have that trust, or maybe something's happened in the past that prevents us from really obtaining that trust on our own. And so we need to bring in a third party. This one's really important. It speaks to a lot of what you all were sharing earlier, is how do I make sure people are comfortable, right? How do I make sure people are comfortable in there? They're willing to share their own thoughts, their own insights, their personal beliefs, their concerns, their questions. That one can be, people can feel really vulnerable when they start to share their own beliefs, thoughts, questions. They're afraid somebody might judge them because if they ask a question, then they might think somebody else thinks that's a dumb question or something. But if we all feel comfortable in there, we trust the process, then we're willing to share all those things. Whose help do I need? As a leader, that's really important, right? I don't have all the answers. I say this all the time. When I was a counselor and I had clients, I would say all the time, like, I don't have the answers. I don't know everything you need to do. If I did, I would just write a book and I'd become a millionaire. Okay, I wouldn't be sitting here with you, for 10, 20, 30 hours trying to figure this out together. So whose help do you need? Who do you need to enlist? And then how will I know when the process is trustworthy? Which goes back to one of the very first slides I shared, which is, what does it look like? How will I know? What does it look like? So another good check-in that you can do with yourself or with somebody else, if you're co-leading something, is if you can answer yes to all these questions, we're probably on the right track. So if I can answer yes to, are those most affected working on the problem? And that one's hard because we all have so much work to do that when we need to do something new or change something or develop a new program or something like that, we go over here to this person because maybe they have some extra time, or we hire another person, a part-time person, to take on that work. But they may be not even the person most affected by that work. Does everyone know where they fit into the process? That's also really important. We all can't do the same thing, right? If we all did the same thing, we wouldn't get anywhere. We'd just be going in circles. We all have a place. We all fit in differently. Do the stakeholders know what's happened so far and what's coming next, right? Have we really taken inventory of what the situation has been in the past and what that common good or that end goal is? Does everyone know who has the authority to make change and who doesn't? So I can come up with some brilliant ideas, but if I don't have the authority to make those happen, then I need that person in the room who does have the authority to make that happen. And in that case, authority doesn't always mean like power or oversight or responsibility. It could mean, maybe I come up with an idea about how to do a certain billing practice differently. But my job, we have people that do billing, that's their specialty. I need to enlist them to make that happen, because maybe I don't know exactly how that needs to work out, how it needs to shake out, to get to that end goal. But I know what that end goal looks like. And so I need to, enlist the person who has the authority to make that change. Are we celebrating failure as an opportunity to learn, as an opportunity to grow? Like Rose's example earlier, right? We have to experiment. If we knew the answers, we would just do them. We would just make it happen. We wouldn't need all this leadership stuff. But if we punish failure, then we're not going to grow either, because no one's going to be willing to take risks. No one's going to be willing to challenge each other or ask questions. So we need to celebrate that as opportunity to learn. And to people, again, going back to that feeling comfortable, feeling free to express their ideas, opinions, even controversial ones. Are they comfortable? Do they trust those around them to be vulnerable with them? So good questions you can ask yourself. And if I can answer yes to all of those, I'm probably on the right track. And if I answer no to one of them, then I know what I need to work on as a leader. I know what I need to focus on a little bit more. So here's a pen and paper exercise that you can use from the Kansas Leadership Center, from your Leadership Edge, that you can, again, it's just a kind of another check-in. It's on a scale of 1 to 10. How am I doing with these things and why? And a good opportunity for a leader to role model being vulnerable and feeling comfortable and trusting those around you is to ask everyone else in the group to do this, right? Not yourself. Ask everyone else. How do you feel about this thing? And why? This will tell you where you really need to focus or what you really need to think about. I think this is one of my last things I want to talk about. But so again, these are just some basic tips for how do I do this as a leader? How do I create a trustworthy process? Asking open-ended questions. Okay, don't ask questions, yes, no questions. Don't ask those close-ended questions. And another thing I've learned the hard way, but now we always do, at least in residential treatment, is don't ask questions you already know the answer to. You may think you're trying to elicit, something out of other people, but it's not always received that way. Often it's received as trying to be tested, or they don't trust me, so they want me to say the answer they want, or something like that. So ask open-ended questions, ones you don't know the answer to. Be around, be present, listen to understand too, to really get to know where they're coming from, rather than just listening for the sake of listening, so you can say, oh yeah, I heard out your idea, but we're still going to do it this way. Be collaborative, be cooperative, design the process with others. Again, if you knew the answer, you would just do it. You wouldn't need others. Create multiple environments. Again, kind of goes back, I like your example, Rosa. You created multiple environments. You took some experiments, because you didn't know exactly which environment would work best, and you found one that did work best, though. And then, of course, we have to have group norms, right? We have to know where everyone fits into the process. Sometimes those group norms have to be given to us. Maybe our group is we don't have any trust, or maybe we're a little bit dysfunctional, or we're so new or so fresh, or we don't know each other. So we need someone to kind of set those norms for us. Sometimes we want to set those norms together, like his story about the company that was going to lay off people, but instead everybody had to take 4 weeks of vacation. They started to create their own group norms, where it was expected that, if I need a little bit more help and you didn't, you would sacrifice a little bit of that for me so that I could have an extra week of paid work and you would take an extra week off. That was just normed. I'm fascinated by wolves, by Arctic wolves and gray wolves, and they hunt in, or they move in packs, they live in packs, they hunt in packs. And wolves, they are territorial creatures, but they spend all day moving around their territory. They don't just like sit in a camp. They will walk tens and tens of miles every day. They just wander around their territory all day long, but they do it in a pack. And the wolf in the front is usually one of the oldest wolves. It's typically the slowest wolf. They set the pace. If they put the slowest wolf in the middle or the back, everyone behind that wolf, or if that wolf was in the back, that wolf would be left behind. So they put that wolf in the front. The next couple tend to be the alpha pair, the female and male. They're going to help redirect the wolf in the front if he or she gets off track or goes somewhere that, out of their territory or something like that, or somewhere they don't want to go. And the ones in the back are the young ones. They're the strongest ones. They're the ones with the most energy. They're the ones with the ability to protect all the others. They cover the back of the pack, but they can also look forward and see everyone else in the pack to make sure everyone else is safe. And if they need protection, they will jump up, or the alphas in the middle will tell them to jump up to protect the group. So I think that's really cool, but a great example of how naturally out there in the world, animals created this trustworthy process. Because if they didn't do it in that order, that wolf pack would not be successful. They would not be able to protect themselves. They'd not be able to walk as far as they can. Their territory wouldn't be as big as they can. They wouldn't hunt as well or as effectively as they can. So they've created this process that's kind of feels counterintuitive. Why would you put the slowest wolf up front? But it works for them. So I do have some debrief questions. What resonated with you? What isn't sitting right with you? What have you never thought about before? I know we only have like 2 minutes or so. But I appreciate everybody let me talk about that and share that all with you. And I'm curious about what you're walking away with or what you're still questioning.
Yeah, can I have the name of that video that you just played? I didn't
Absolutely.
know.
His name is Simon Sinek, S-I-N-E-K. And it's called, shoot, I already closed it. It's called Why Good Leaders Make Us Feel Safe.
Okay.
Or something like that. How good
Okay.
leaders make us feel safe. Why good leaders. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. He has a bunch of others too that are similar, talk about leadership and that kind of thing. So very interesting. Anything else? Anything you're questioning? You're like, that doesn't work. I don't know why Ed said that. That would never work in my job. Or anything you're like, yeah, man, that really made sense. I'm gonna.
Well, I don't know if no one else has anything to say. I truly enjoyed myself. I just want you to know, thank you for showing that video and everything that you talked about.
Cool. Thanks, Christine.
I'm going to take some of this information when I meet with school principals and administrators and coalition work, like you said, and keep that in mind. So no, I appreciate it. It was good information. Thank you.
Yeah, very cool. That's a great example. All right. Well, I guess I'll leave you all to ponder that and think about that. And you can search my email address in the company directory if you have any questions or anything. So, but thanks again for letting me share this with you all today. I'll turn it back over to Alex then.
Perfect job. Thank you, Ed. Thank you, everybody, for participating today. And we really appreciate you guys taking some time. And be sure to join us for our other leadership development sessions. We have one later this month and then all the way through November that are scheduled. So sign up and register, and encourage maybe a coworker or two to join along. So with that, that's our time for today. I really appreciate it. And thank you, Ed, for presenting today. And we'll see you next time.